Greetings, and today, before I'm gonna say something, I need to address two things that I know some people commented right now. The first thing gonna pop up and say, Edgar, where's the DK64 game? Relax, patient, still ongoing, still recording. I need to go to my friend Dylan's house, which is actually tomorrow. That's the recording of the game. And the other thing you're thinking, and the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, that game has to wait. Relax, the game needs some time to it, okay? Okay, back to the topic. Today, I was originally to review the expansion pack, this little guy right here. But I also want to review in conjunction with Perfect Dark. Yup, this guy and this. But before I'm gonna do that, I decided to make a series of episodes. Well, I'll start with the expansion pack, and the next episode will be the Perfect Dark, so it doesn't get mixed up. So we'll see it. I'll start with the expansion pack. This little guy, the expansion pack. The expansion pack was a non-ROM RAM random access memory. Well, it upgrades the RAM of the N64. Originally, it came out with the jumper pack, which only allows to 4 megabytes. This guy allows to 8 megabytes of RAM. So it boosts. So it made it like a leg up to the N64. So at the time, it was pretty revolutionary. It was an innovative way to expand the memory since cartridges are quite small in size. Mario 64 weighs like, I estimated 4 or 5 megabytes. I'll put the actual memory size of the N64 cartridges. The largest game that ever released, I reviewed already. I reviewed Resident Evil 2. I reviewed already. It was considered as the largest game, but it's not the only one. The other game that is also the largest is Conquer the Bad Fur Day by Rareware, the same team who made Perfect Dark. Resident Evil 2 and Conquer the Bad Fur Day, they use massive cartridges up to 64 megabytes. They were the largest at the time. As a result, no, they didn't. None of those two. Well, none of those two requires this little guy. Well, it gave you better visuals, sure, but it doesn't. But they don't really need them. They can use a jumper pack and run pretty much fine. Unlike this guy right here, Perfect Dark, which needs this guy right here in conjunction with this game to work. That's right, Perfect Dark is one of the free games. Those are DK64, which my friend Dylan has it, Majora's Mask, which one of my buddies, which I still didn't know I was able to ask for, well, to review the game. It also requires the expansion pack to boot. Yes, to boot. Without this guy, it will prompt a message say you need this guy to make it to work. Perfect Dark, at least it will let you play the game with the jumper pack. However, it only allows to the multiplayer mode. When you put in the menu, it says small but perfect menu. Well, that's because this game is running the multiplayer mode. As a result, in order to play the single mode campaign, you need this little guy to get the multiple options. As a result, it requires this guy to run the entire game. Otherwise, you just run the multi game. But at least this game will play on the N64 with the jumper pack at least. I'm glad that I had this game here to show it to you. And yes, it is. Okay, the expansion pack. Again, it was revolutionary at the time for most people does, as for most. When Rareware, they developed the Star Donkey Kong 64. Now, I'm not gonna tell the story of Donkey Kong or whatsoever. That will be in Donkey Kong 64, but I will mention briefly why this guy was made. Briefly, do you get the idea? Rareware apparently, when they were in development, they were so frustrated, so close. It was a hit since Donkey Kong 64 was advertised on everywhere. After Donkey Kong Country 3, Nintendo fans, Rareware fans, and Donkey Kong fans, or any gamer, wanted to see the next iteration of Donkey Kong. Not the Country series, but a new way. After Banjo-Kazooie, well, yeah, originally they were using the 2D atmosphere. That's another story I'll tell. But originally the 64 will be a 2D, but since Banjo-Kazooie did so well, they decided to use the Collectathon mode, the exploration open world mode. As a result, they decided to make it like that. Well, apparently Donkey Kong 64 had a lot of problems during the development. As most people, if you want to check out the video, there's a lot of videos like Game Cultur, Red Stop Skeleton Fighting, and many of the videos they review this guy already. So you know what the story is. I'll put every single video that I managed to watch in the link down in the description if you want more information about it. But I'll be warning you, Game Cult, yes, Game Cult, it's Spanish. You need to use the subtitles. The other videos are in English, so you can watch normally, natively. But for Game Cult, it has to be in subtitles. Just to warn you. So because I heard some people that can't understand the video, but that's because they just assume that it's in English, but no, it's in Spanish. You have to put sub in order to do it. Well, at least that's because it was easy for me to understand both languages, at least for me, but for others, don't. So, enough for that topic. So, why I mentioned this device today? I found an interesting story about it, as I mentioned. Like I said, Rareware was having trouble with Donkey Kong Country 64 in development. During the development, one of the guys mentioned, and the team members behind it said that every single time they're trying to play the game or main testing, it crashed or just freeze on the console by using the jumper pack, the 4 memory megabyte of RAM. It just crashed over and over and over and over until a point it's really unusable and unplayable. Like I mentioned before, it freezes quite constantly on the console during the development. For Rareware, it was a frustration as hell because people were eager to find out how the game is. Well, Nintendo, they gave an idea. Nintendo told Rareware to use this guy right here. Nintendo create this device to tell them use this device as the main seller point. And Rareware has no choice to use this guy. When they use it, it solved the problem right away. Yeah, they knew. And as a result, when you put Donkey Kong 64 with the jumper pack, it put a warning that it needs the jumper pack. But in reality, it can run with the jumper pack. But like I mentioned, it's because on the N60, it's because on the game, there's a bug again that crashed the game multiple times. It was a frustration that Rareware was, ever able to resolve it. They just left the bug in there. As a result, they used this guy instead. That was the ultimate lie of Nintendo. Nintendo simply, I'm not gonna be against that company, but Nintendo simply hide the reality, thinking, oh, you used this game to run around. No, in reality, it's because Rareware couldn't find out how to defeat the bug of the game. Instead, they went to this. And in result, only 3 games requires the game. Donkey Kong 64 because of the bug. The Majora's Mask, they use it because memory. Majora's Mask was so large, it couldn't load up in N64 very well. As a result, plus it was rushed. As a result, they use this guy too. And Perfectar they use obviously due to memory reasons. They had to split the game apart. On the cartridge, you get the multiplayer. When you use the expansion pack, you enable the single player campaign mode. Meaning you can work in between, interchangeable. So that's the why they use this divide right here. So yeah, basically it is. And now I'm gonna show the expansion pack on my bench to show how it looks like closely, and I will disassemble it to see how it's inside. So let's do it. Okay, this is the one. Yeah, like I mentioned, Perfect Dark, and yes, blockbuster video. Who remembers this? Yeah. Like I mentioned, there's gonna be a video of the entire game. I only briefly mentioned here, just as an example, since I don't have any game that they use the expansion pack. This is the only game I use it, so I knew I had to find somewhere. So at least I owned it to show of this guy right here. This is the expansion pack. Yes, you can see right here. I'm going to adjust the camera to show carefully. There you go. This is what it looks like. This guy was released in 1999 when Donkey Kong 64. In fact, some of them bundle this guy right here, as I mentioned. So I'm gonna put Perfect Dark aside, and I'm gonna disassemble this thing and see what it is. So I'm gonna disassemble this thing and show the gut of this guy right here, and I will put it back together, and then I'll play Perfect Dark briefly with the other games such as Majora's Mask. The Majora's Mask, I will find it one of my buddies who has the game, and the land has the has Donkey Kong 64. So I'm gonna play those 3 games that use it, and some games that use this guy for the graphics. Others like StarCraft 64. Yes, StarCraft 64. It was the N64 version of StarCraft made by Blizzard. They use it just like Perfect Dark, but instead of the single player, is the opposite. You can play the single player mode, but you can't play the multiplayer. It's the opposite. Crazy is that. And this game came out in the year 2000, same year as this guy right here. So enough for the talking repeatedly. So let's disassemble this. Oh, to disassemble a expansion pack, you need one of these right here. This is an 8-bit screwdriver. I had a full kit right here. I had this one right here. So let's do it. There you go. I'll put it aside. And that's it. This is it. This is the guts of the N64. Sorry, the expansion pack. Unfortunately, my camera scenes doesn't pick up the numbers. So let me see what it says. It says Nintendo SDRAM36 nuns. So basically, this is the chipset set. Sorry. And this one is dated 1998. It says on the PCB. So basically, it's this guy right here. Okay. Enough of that. I'll put this thing back together. Okay, let me see. And by the way, I disassembled all these to clean up, because I've seen a lot of these expansion packs that get dirty or sometimes doesn't even. In fact, most N64 games don't work because of the expansion pack. They get damaged or somehow doesn't work. Fortunately, mine still works, so I was very careful with my stuff. Okay. Oops, I forgot the metal shield. Let me put it here. Where's go the front? Oh my lord, I had to cut the video, so it's getting really problem. Just give me a second, okay? Whew, that took a long while. You had no idea how long it takes to put in this thing back there. Here's how to put the plate here. Let me put the number. There we go. Now put back together. And yes, I love to make my cartridges get firm and tight, but not too tight, otherwise I will break the plastic. And most of them does break due to the age of the plastic. So I always take care and very careful to not to break the plastic. Try to tie it, but not too much, otherwise you end up breaking the plastic. There we go. Nice and firm. Let me see it is all matched together because I always make careful. There we go. So that's how the expansion pack looks like. It's nothing special, it's just a tiny chip inside, which I'll give information what chip they use on this N64 to find out and what technology. I'll give you the information online to see what technology behind it is.
Okay, here's some pictures that I took on the bench. As you can see, this is the chip. This is the entire expansion pack in one tiny chip. Oh, a bit of correction that I noticed during the video. It was in reality, it was 4 megabytes. I thought it was 8, but in reality, it was 4 megabytes. So, to be clear. Anyways, like I mentioned in the video, the chip is a RD RAM 32 nums. This is the entire RAM right here. That chip you see here is the entire RAM of the expansion pack. So that's about it, sincerely. Okay, back to the video when I tried to assemble it back. So back to the video. Let's see what it is. As you can see, the game works fantastically. Let's try out a game which does require an expansion pack. Here's a good example why you need expansion pack. My N64 does not have it. I must found it because otherwise this game I would not be able to play it because of that. Donkey Kong 64 is a good example. Just put it in the system, turn it on. Yeah, but I guess it's dirty. Alright, after a little clean them up, here it is why. This is the why. You need a expansion pack. So that's all explain it. And yes, if you want to play a game, please clean the cartridge because otherwise it won't play. Unfortunately, I could not play the single mode because remember, this game is another of those that requires the expansion pack. So let's play the multiplayer mode. Let me hold a second. Okay, I'm in multiplayer mode, as you can see here.
Okay, in conclusion, it is very simple. It's not that much. So yeah, in order to play the N64 games, you need this guy right here. Well, not every single game use it, but the games I mentioned, Perfect Dark, Majora's Mask, and Donkey Kong 64, those require. Some games that behave different, some require. But again, once Perfect once Conquer the Bad Fur Day and Resident Evil 2 that came out, the expansion pack pretty much was done as a result. It didn't use too much in compared to the Jumper pack, so yeah, overall it was an interesting marvel piece of technology, but as I use, well, I didn't use too much. No wonder why Nintendo struggled to get space on those tiny cartridges as a result, most especially. So let's end the video right here and right now. I hope you enjoyed it, and yes, as you can see right here, it's getting night as a result. I don't usually record at night. I used to do that back in the day, but the problem was recording at night. As you see me in the camera, the lighting on my room is not that great, and I don't have front lights or spotlights to get much better at night. So you see me like I look possessed at the same time. So anyways, I apologize if it looks too dark on my face, or anyways. So in conclusion, the expansion pack, well, it's technically a marvel piece of technology of Nintendo, but in the end it was never been used as much as before. It only used free games, obligates to have one of these, and a handful of games are just simply better graphics or better enhancement or just some difference on the games, but not too much. Since most of the games only used just for graphical purposes, like getting the jaggies or a little detail like this, but for real use, only free games. The game, as I mentioned, Perfect Dark, and Donkey Kong 64, and Majora's Mask. Those are the games that requires this guy to run. As for the rest, they simply can run with the jumper pack. Well, some use the expansion pack, but just for small things. Really, it's just a small difference, and only a handful of games are compatible with this device. No wonder this device didn't do very well when it came out. It was technical, but it didn't do much, since the jumper pack is pretty much done. And by that 2001 and 2002, the GameCube came out. It was the N64 was just done at that point on, pushing the last juice out of it. Rareware is one of those companies that really push the Nintendo hardware to the ambitious. Some do well, others don't. And Conquer the Bad Fur Day, by the time the game release, this guy is pretty much done. Anyway, it's just my perspective of the expansion pack. Just tell me in the comment below what's the first game to use the expansion pack. Tell me in the description down below if you desire, if interested. Okay, that's it. As I mentioned, the DK64 is coming up soon. I'm going tomorrow to my friend Dylan to record it, so it's gonna be interesting. As for the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, that I have to wait. For the meantime, I'm gonna make another stopgap video for a while. Tomorrow, or did I say in the next occasion, it's gonna be Perfect Dark. This is gonna be the next thing I will talk about. Well, DK64 is waiting since, I guess, who knows. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, click the thumbs up button. If you're interested to see more of my content, you can click the subscribe button and the bell notification to let her know what video is coming up next. So as always, thank you for watching the video and see you next time. Take care everybody and have a good, amazing day, my friends.